prices.
Live from Waterford and Dungarvan, this is Waterford at 1 News.
Good afternoon, I'm Sinead Aherne. Today's top stories. A 78-year-old woman was the victim of a robbery in County Waterford yesterday evening. David Cullinane says he didn't set out to offend anyone with his up-the-ra comments. Left-wing parties will meet later this week to discuss how to turn the historic election result into a functioning government. And in sport, Mick McCarthy says they're not intimidated by the prospect of going to Windsor Park in the Euro 2020 playoffs. Gardaí in Dungarvan are appealing for information in relation to a burglary at the home of a 78-year-old woman yesterday evening. The robbery happened between 5:30pm and 6:30pm in Kilrush on the Dungarvan to Cappoquin Road. Gardaí are asking witnesses or any motorists who may have dashcam footage to contact them as soon as possible. The 78-year-old woman was in the house at the time of the burglary. A sum of money was taken from her. Gardaí want anyone who passed that road yesterday evening between 5:30 and 6:30 to get in touch, and they say all information will be treated in confidence. Dungarvan Gardaí can be reached on 058 48600. Waterford's David Cullinane says he's sorry if he offended anyone by using the phrase up the ra in a victory speech to supporters on Sunday night. A video emerged of him shouting Chucky Law and up the ra at a celebration event at a Waterford City pub. He says his comments were about the past and not the future. The Sinn Féin poll topper told Damien Tiernan on Daisha Today that he never thought about his speech being recorded.
One of these things, Damien, when you're given a speech, when you're very emotional and something is said, I never even thought about it. And for God, I even said
so
it.
It wasn't a calculated...
It wasn't a conscious thing. It was a throwaway comment in some respects at the end of a very, what I felt for me personally was a very emotional speech talking to Sinn Féin supporters. And I think most reasonable people, Damien, will see that. And, you know, I've dealt with it. I've said what I've said. And I have moved on already.
Deputy Cullinane says he didn't set out to offend anyone.
I'm not sorry that I reflected back on the hunger strikes. Obviously, if I've caused any offence, Damien, I didn't intend to cause offence. But, you know, there's no point
so is that an apology?
No, it's not an apology for reflecting back on the hunger strikes. It's an
apology
I understand
for anybody
that was offended by it. And I think...
So are you sorry?
Okay,
are you sorry if you've offended some people?
Yes, of course I am, because that's not what I am. I don't set out to offend anybody. And I think people will make more of this, or some people will. The vast majority of people won't. Some people who don't like Sinn Féin will make much more of this than it is.
Left-wing parties will meet later in the week to discuss how to turn the historic election result into a functioning government. No two parties combined can form a government on their own, as our political correspondent Sean Defoe reports.
Waking up the morning after the election before, all parties are looking at the numbers in this new Dáil and asking, how do we form a government out of that? Mary Lou McDonald's reached out to left-wing parties, but even a combination of all of them would need the backing of 14 independents to have a majority. People Before Profit's Richard Boyd Barrett admits that's unlikely.
Much as we campaigned for and suggested that a left government was possible, we haven't, I think, probably got the numbers.
So where then are Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil? Well, Leo Varadkar's party are edging away from government, with TD Helen McEntee saying it's now up to Sinn Féin to point the way.
This is essentially what people have voted for, so I think the onus is on Mary Lou McDonald to try and form that kind of government.
Fianna Fáil, though, is warmer to the idea of working with Sinn Féin, as hinted by TD Thomas Byrne.
Fianna Fáil is always willing to step up to the plate, and we have said, outlined what my difficulties and my party's difficulties are with Sinn Féin, but clearly the country needs a government.
But that would require a massive U-turn from Micheál Martin, who repeatedly said during the campaign he wouldn't work with Sinn Féin. The question is, will that outweigh political pragmatism and what could be his last chance to be Taoiseach? Sean Defoe in Dublin.
A well-known consultant psychiatrist claims there's a staffing and resources crisis in the children's disability sector. Its afternoon figures show 4,600 needs assessments for children with disabilities are overdue. These assessments allow kids to be diagnosed with a disability such as autism and then to apply for the type of care they need. Professor Patricia Casey, a consultant psychiatrist in the Mater Hospital, claims there are two main reasons for the long waiting lists.
Well, it's a staffing crisis that stems from a resource crisis. There has to be a commitment to resource this essential evaluation. Supposing a person had a physical ailment and they couldn't get blood tests done because there weren't enough people to do them or the monies weren't available to do them. That's the best analogy I can think about, and it's a terrible one.
The World Health Organization says the coronavirus holds a very grave threat for the world. The number of deaths has overtaken that of the SARS epidemic in 2003. Sean O'Regan reports.
More than 1,000 people have now died from the new strain of coronavirus, which has swept right across China. In addition, more than 42,000 people have been diagnosed with the respiratory illness. A number of senior officials in China have been removed from their positions over their handling of the deadly outbreak. The World Health Organization has been monitoring the outbreak and this morning tweeted, with 99% of the cases in China, this remains very much an emergency for that country, but one that holds a very grave threat for the rest of the world. There are now 8 confirmed cases in the UK, with 2 of those healthcare workers. There are over 30 confirmed cases across Europe, none in Ireland. But yesterday, employees at the Dublin offices of Indeed were told to work from home amid concerns of coronavirus. The recruitment firm said that one of its employees in Singapore who visited Dublin recently may have been exposed to the deadly virus.
The West Coast is bearing the brunt of snow showers as a yellow warning remains in place for the rest of the day for the whole country. Motorists are being advised to drive with care. Heavy snow showers this morning led to dangerous conditions in parts of Waterford. Forecaster with Met Éireann, Joanna Donnelly, says there'll be more snow showers throughout the afternoon and into the evening.
They'll die out overnight tonight. They'll probably continue through to the evening, and the early part of the night they'll be continuing in overnight tonight. I don't think they'll reach as far over as they have been. Of course, as the sun goes down and the temperatures fall a little bit more, you'll have more likelihood, or an increasing likelihood, of the snow lasting a little longer than it has been.
A Waterford GP is urging people with asthma to proactively manage their condition during the cold weather. 380,000 people in Ireland have asthma and 70 people die every year as a result of it. Dr Dermot Nolan, a GP in Tramore and the National Clinical Lead for Asthma for Ireland, says the cold weather is a serious trigger.
Those frosty cold mornings, it can cause what we call some bronchoconstriction, where the lungs sort of go into a little bit of spasm. So it is important that if patients are going out, particularly in that dry, cold air, that they keep well wrapped up. We know that the compliance with inhaled corticosteroids or with preventer medications tends to be quite low, but it's really important that patients stay on the preventer medications, not rely on the blue inhaler for their asthma.
WLR Sport.
With thanks to the Waterford Viking Marathon. Register now at waterfordvikingmarathon.com.
Starting with soccer, where the Republic of Ireland manager Mick McCarthy says they're not intimidated by the prospect of going to Windsor Park in the Euro 2020 playoffs. There's a potential showdown at the Belfast venue if Ireland overcome Slovakia and Northern Ireland defeat Bosnia in the semi-finals. McCarthy says his players are experienced enough to handle a trip to Windsor Park.
Being intimidated? No, I don't think so. And here we go again, back to like the players I'm talking about. If Darren Randolph and the Doc, or Seamus and Duffer and John Egan and Enda Stevens and all those boys and Glenn Wheeler get intimidated by going anywhere, then we've got a real problem. I don't think that's the case, but it might be the case if it's kids playing.
Waterford FC manager Alan Reynolds says he's looking forward to the start of the league season. The Blues travel to the capital for their opening clash away to St Patrick's Athletic on Friday night. Alan says the new signings have worked hard behind the scenes ahead of the opener.
They enjoy coming in and they make the best of it because it'll pass them by. So it's something that we speak to them about, giving everything you got every day you come in. But they're a good group and they enjoy each other's company. It's important that we work and try and build on that. And what a way to be, living, I suppose, coming into football every day.
The action in Richmond Park kicks off at 7:45 and WLR will broadcast the game live thanks to Clem Jacob Haar with commentary team Gavin Whelan and Matt Keane. In Gaelic games, Kevin Moran says he's enjoying the setup under new Waterford manager Liam Cahill. The Dallas Sal clubman's back in the fold again this season and came on as a second-half substitute in the recent second-round victory over Westmeath. The Dacia return to the Allianz League action this weekend when they travel to take on league champions Limerick and what's a repeat of last year's decider. Moran says Liam Cahill and his management team have brought great energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's games constantly change, and the lads have brought in a different dimension to it. And so far so good. Really enjoying it. Everyone's working really hard, and as I said, it's a hugely competitive panel, and hopefully it'll stay that way right up to the championship. And
Throw-in at the Gaelic grounds is at 7 on Saturday, and we'll bring you the game live with commentary team Kieran O'Connor and Owen Murphy, thanks to George Corbett Skoda. And in Gaelic, staying with Gaelic Games, the GAA's Director General Tom Rhines revealed the final cost of the redevelopment of Páirc Uí Chaoimh will be around €96 million. He says there's bank borrowings of €21.5 million on the venue, with Cork County Board also owing €10 million loan to the GAA. Sports news on WLR is thanks to WaterfordVikingMarathon.com.